And I have a promise for you. Everything you do now in your business and the way you experience yourself and what you do will change. We'll talk today about one word. Every inch of growth you've experienced in your life, it's because this one word. More than 80% of people on earth can't answer the following question. It's such a simple question. It's such a pleasant question. But because people avoid answering these questions, that prevents them from the growth they desire to experience and to start living that life which they are meant to live. After we go quickly through this question, and we'll see how good you are going to be there. Change sometimes takes years, but sometimes it takes seconds after you say, wow, now I get it. So that's my promise. We'll learn 5 steps about how to transform that ability into a capability. Because all of that's what governs everything which you do and live. So that's essentially extremely important. And if you haven't, you will. If you did, you'll know exactly how to improve that transformation between that ability into a capability. Now, let's go back into that one question. So my question is, what are the 3 key things which play the most essential, the most important role in your growth in business and in life in the last 5 years? Those 3 things which, wow, because of that, all of this growth happened. So what happened then? Well, if you're in business or not, you're in business anyway. Even if you're not a business owner, you provide a service, so you are in business. And growth in life is growth in business. Business and growth in business is growth in life. They're very the same thing. So what is the number one thing? Probably you become very good at self-discipline. You start with emotional turn down, and then I want it, then I don't, and then I like it, then I don't. So you had to learn how to discipline yourself. For that, you had to learn emotional control, right? So you had to learn emotional control so that you can discipline yourself, so that you can build that consistency and everything else which you already know are gold important, very, very important things. What's the second thing you've learned which played a key role in your growth as an entrepreneur? You had to learn what business is. So to understand more how business works, for that you had to learn numbers. You had to develop some critical and analytical thinking. So you had to learn some numbers, you had to learn analytical thinking, to think through numbers, not through emotions, not through how you like it to be, not how it seems to be, but to look at your business, understand how you're doing. You had to learn that, right? What's this third thing which probably played a key role? Do you have the answer? What was that? Well, that's sales and marketing. So of course you had to learn sales and marketing, because without those 2, you don't have a business. So what do you had to learn? Of course, sales tactics and marketing and strategies. But what is that? That's communication. That's communication. So you had to learn communication with your business, with other people, with you starting, with yourself. So you look at this. What's the common thing, element in these 3? Where should I go? I'll go here. What's the common theme here? You had to learn. And now I ask you, could you learn these not in 5 years, but in 1 year? To understand how to discipline yourself, probably you need a mount for that. A strong military regime will resolve all your self-discipline problems. Now, if you had to learn business, the basics of what a business is played a huge essential role. Now, to grow a business is a different thing, but you got to know how to build it. The essentials, you can learn that in half a year as well. How to learn sales and marketing, of course, practice is there, and practice. But if you align your strategy from the beginning, of course, you could have stayed here 4 years or 4.5. So, of course, now when I ask you, hey, with the knowledge you've got now, if you could go back, how fast would you have learned all of this? Not in 5 years. It probably would take you a month to crush all of this. Why? Because when the vision is clear, what you want to get is clear, then your intentions are clear. And when your intentions are clear, then you don't just learn stuff here and right, left and right, and that's interesting, that looks interesting. Probably here's the answer. No, you know exactly what to learn because the vision is clear. Hey, this is something interesting. Well, that doesn't align with where I am going. That's why your intentions will help you to speed up the learning process. So that's probably you already got the keyword of today's video. It's about learning. And today we will answer the question, how a fast learner with average doing beats a great doer with slow learning, so that you can learn fast, grow faster, and become in no time. And I will teach you today 5 steps how you can do that, starting right now. So first of all, learning is not a remembering and understanding just things. Learning is doing what you have understood. Learning is not what we think, learning, about, my father is a professor of mathematics, and my father used force to educate me, but what he used mostly were books flying into my head. Why? Because I would try to swing, so I like maths, and that's interesting, and it's still to this day. So when we tried to, that's how it's also, he would control my homework. He would thought that I didn't learn the material in the book. So he just go and read it, go and learn it before you try to figure things out. Well, is this the best strategy? Not always. Sometimes it's better just to go in and start trying, but in that case, first learn the formulas so that you can solve the equation as quick as possible. So it beats the other in some cases. So learning is not just remembering stuff. Learning is not just pushing so much information into that. It's a process, and you have to submit your mind to something greater than the mind. Because if you put a goal in front of your mind, and that goal, that problem is created by your mind, you will keep destroying your mind, and it feels like you're growing and feels you're solving problems, but these problems are not unlockers towards the vision. These lockers which you unlocked for solving them is just proving to the mind that the mind was wrong. So you might feel trapped for so many years in business or in life, where you solve problems created by your mind because you haven't submitted your mind to a greater good, to a value superior than just the mind itself. So the number 1 question out of the 5 is, what is that value that dictates the learning? I know you're a great person. Why? Because you're watching this video, and we'll talk here about wise things, aren't they? Are they wise things? Of course, but this is a wise thing. And you have great intentions. Now, while you have these intentions towards getting where you want to get, very often, so let's start, we'll start right here. Is it visible? Yes, it's visible. Right. The number 1, what dictates the mind towards the learning? Because just a good mind which can potentially learn is not enough. It has to be submitted to something. Now, how does it happen that we get trapped into these trap and we don't learn? Well, here's the thing. Whatever you do right now in your business or in life, I'm sure deep down you have the great perspective, the greatest perspective, and the worst perspective. So you probably are very focused on the worst perspective, or you're very focused on the great perspective. If you're very focused on the wrong perspective, all you see is mistakes and failures, and your intentions will be to constantly avoid doing mistakes because you're focused on the worst perspective. And there's the great perspective. You have to have something superior. You've got to have the intentions. The intentions dictates the learning. Because if your intentions are to prove to yourself how you can run away from the worst perspective, you'll make better mistakes. We'll mention that later. And your intentions are not going to be towards the greater perspective, but they will be so focused towards the worst perspective. The intention is born when the best perspective is higher than the worst. Because if you always have this worst perspective, oh, this might be going wrong, that might be wrong. Oh my God, that might not be working. I might fail here. That's a risk. No, I can't invest. I can't think. I don't have time. You always have the wrong perspective, but you want your intentions to push you towards a greater perspective. Well, you're running from the worst perspective and you try to protect yourself from that. Your perspective dictates your intentions, and the intentions dictates the learning. I'll say it again. Your perspective dictates your intentions. The worst perspective or the best perspective? I don't know. And the intentions dictates your learning. What are your intentions are, that's what you're going to learn. How to run away from mistakes, or from those mistakes, or from the memories you've got from those mistakes, because they are in the past doesn't exist anymore. Or you can work on yourself to also develop the greatest perspective and to have a balance between these two, so that you can set your intentions towards the greater perspective. This is huge. So I'm going to leave you with three questions. Why do I have the perspective I have? So you better take notes, because I'm going to share lots of questions through these 5 stages. Why do I have the perspective I have? I'll put the slides also on the video so you can, in 3, 2, 1, you can take a snapshot. 2, second question, what unfinished lessons have I abandoned? Maybe you've been through some experiences and they're already wisdom lessons, but you haven't extracted it so that you can set your intentions in such a way so that it can bring you towards growth. Number 3, am I able to see the other perspective? Well, there are phases in life where you can only see the worst perspective. And there are phases in life where you only see the greater perspective. I'm great at this, it's going on right, I'm rocking, let's go. Well, ask yourself, I will focus on this, but am I able to see the other perspective as well? Because if you're able to see only one perspective, my gosh, if you only focus on failures, you'll make better quality mistakes. And if you only focus on your victories, you'll make bigger mistakes. So train your mind to be able to see both perspectives, the worst and the greatest, and focus always on the greatest. Good. Number 2. So remember about the number 1, the perspective dictates the intention, and the intention dictates the learning. What your intentions are, that's what you're going to learn, and that is what you're going to succeed at. Number 2, what is a learning mindset? Let's go quickly. I will tell you ahead the number 3 and number 4 so that you can decide the value which you're going to get from this video. The number 1 was, what's the value that dictates the learning? The number 2, what's a learning mindset? How does a learning mindset beat systems and processes in your business? How can you accelerate growth through learning? Can you accelerate growth through learning? Is it true, or should you be just focusing on doing? And how can you unlearn behaviors that hinder growth? All right, good. These are the 5 questions. The 1, done. Good. Let's move forward. The number 2 is, what is a learning mindset? Well, here's the thing, that your mind is not you. You are not your mind. Your mind serves your inner self. Now, when you feel uncomfortable because the situation is uncomfortable, there are 2 scenarios. 1, yourself is in uncomfort because of your belief system, or your mind is uncomfortable because you have to learn, and that takes energy, focus, and time. So, the uncomfort, or let's put it differently, the comfort or the uncomfortable zone or area, there is so much comfort in the uncomfort. Once you realize which type of uncomfort do you experience, uncomfort of the mind, that means you start to change your beliefs, you start to change who you are, and the mind doesn't want to submit to your identity, to who you start to decide, I'm going to be this. Because these are the values I care for. And that is different when the mind is watching a video and is learning new information, but the identity says, yeah, but I can't. I never done. So you have a identity uncomfort. And you have to really be good at understanding that the mind will always create uncomfort. So let's dive into the second one. So there is comfort and uncomfort for the mind, but we have reasoning uncomfortness, and then we have identity uncomfortness. What you want to know about the mind uncomfort is that your mind naturally wants peace. Your mind doesn't want to work and think. You gotta squeeze it. You gotta force it. You have to constantly put it at doing something. This process for your mind will always be uncomfortable. Always. Now you might get pleasure into the learning or remembering or trying. That's the experience. But the mind is always in uncomfort. So I want you to start to make the distinction between, look, when I start to set my mind, a mindset of learning, forget about reasoning comfort. Your mind will be challenged, will be squeezed, will be dwarfed and smashed and proved wrong. Just be at peace with it. Because this illusion that while you're changing and learning and growing, you have to somehow go peacefully through it. Well, from the identity perspective, God bless you. From the reasoning perspective, well, good luck. Show me a mind which is uncomfortable, which is comfortable in learning. No, learning is hard. Now, the experience of learning might be pleasant for who you are. That's a different thing. So if you see someone which takes so much pleasure into learning, you say, probably somebody likes it. Well, the experience, not the mind itself, but the experience you are going through. So what you want to remember here is, who's the boss in the house? Your mind? Or are you controlling your mind? Because your values should be the platform of what your mind will work. You've got to have a platform on what your mind stands. So, and a learning mindset is setting, submitting, squeezing, dwarfing, pushing, pulling, do whatever you want to your mind, because you're not your mind. It is yours. Use it, push it, use it as much as you want when it comes to do the work. Now, the values, which is a soulful, it's a spiritual aspect, dictates the direction, the intuition, but that's another conversation, which is far superior than the mind. So don't seek peace of mind when you start to peace the mind. Just don't pay too much attention to it. That's how you get a peaceful mind while you practice a learning mindset. That's what a learning mindset is. 3 questions quickly. What are the mind's tricks and twists which you have might observe, so that you don't spend 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, days, maybe you need seconds. So if you already know your mind's tricks and twists, do you know them? Everybody has it, and you have to know them. If you don't know your mind's tricks and twists, probably it's twisting you and it's tricking you and you don't know about it. The second one, when does my mind mostly wrestle with my intentions? Because the perspective dictates the intention. And the mind comes in the game and says like, no. So whatever you are right now in your life or in business, I'm not here, I'm not a wise old man to teach you wisdom. Look, that's how life works. That's how it works. But what I can wonderfully and easily can help you, teach you, guide you is to understand yourself. This is my number 1. Now, the number 2 is I can help you to understand yourself so in such a way so that you can set your vision without bias, so that you can go towards your growth and measure that growth, not just trying things out. That's what I'm great at. Now, can I teach you business? I can teach you how to grow in business through your self-leadership. Numbers and tactics and systems and processes and AI, this is going to help you like everything else. But your self-leadership is going to set your leadership. And when it's about growth, you'll have to lead your customers, your clients, your team. It starts with yourself. Third question, what are my values? Because this is a good one. You want to have a great mindset and you want to have control over your mind, but what do you want to use in order to control your mind? Your mind? Good luck. Spending your life fighting yourself. You've got to have something greater than your mind. Those are the values. When you've got the values, the integrity, truth, when you've got your values, it's good. Your mind says, yeah, but maybe, no, I've got my values. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm coming from. I'm good. Thank you. Bye. Done. Easy. You don't have to fight yourself. Good. Moving forward, does that work becomes easy? In time, yes, not immediately. Number 3. The question number 3. How a learning mindset beats the systems and processes in your business. Now, you might say, no, because if I put a better process and I get efficiency, well, I'm sure you get efficiency, but what about effectiveness? Before it becomes efficient, it has to be effective. But we'll talk about that in the next one. So here is what we have at this stage here. Let's put it this way. While you're moving forward, I'm sure you had some forces which were pushing you, especially at the beginning. You have the ambition to drive, you want to have a chip on the shoulder, you want to prove, you have the need, you have the pain, you hate something, you had someone. Let's be honest. At whatever point in your business you started your business, 99% I'm sure you've got a chip on the shoulder, you had something to prove to others or to yourself. Nothing wrong with that. It would be great to be great, but it's not always great. And greatness is great. Greatness is a process. We don't just, boom, great. We get hurt, we get humbled. So when we start from very animalistic drive. Well, you've got to overcome that, my friend. You can't just stay constantly in the push. Wow. I mean, good luck if you want to, no problem. But your life becomes a hell. Constantly, you're focusing on the push. So there's another video which I'm going to let the link in the description below about the pushers and the pullers. There are 4 pushers and 4 pullers. So you have the push forces and the pull forces. Now, when you only focus on the push, you're going to use systems and processes to avoid pain, to satisfy the need, okay, to satisfy the drive, because you're still locked and burdened by those low conscious values. And because you're under that pressure is good, depends on what kind of pressure. Is it up? Is it down? Because of those, you're going to bring so many systems and things in your business because you think they are smart, but depends on what's their function. Do you want to prove something? Do you want to look like others? Do you want to you hate yourself because you think there's going to be a setback and when every single time you start to think strategically? So there are thousands of variables which might push you to modernize and to make it more complicated, but you're not getting results. You're just making it more complicated. Does it sound familiar? I mean, it is to whom I'm the first one, and I know everybody does. So we've got to stop that. And there are the pullers. So when you start to focus on systems and processing, you want to optimize your work. Here's the biggest mistake you might be making. You're so focused on the pushing energy. You're so focused on your pain, on yourself. You want to optimize it in such a way that it looks good to you, rather than focusing on what do I want to get. So rather than, you remember, go back in 5 years before. With the knowledge you got now, you'd have done things differently. Well, why? Because you'd have put different questions. You would have different intentions. Well, why isn't today a perfect day to stop and say, what are my intentions? Do I want to prove something to myself again? Or do I want to invest some time and understand what's the vision? What's the purpose? What are the values? What is the impact? Where do I want to get? So that everything you put in your business serves that noble direction and not serving your animalistic desire. I want to push, I want to prove, I want to do, and so on and so forth. That's why the learning by asking yourself, am I pushing or am I pulling? Before we go through, I'm going to share with you these 3 questions. Remind these. Push when the pull is clear. When the vision is clear, focus on push. When you've set for yourself, this is the vision, this is the direction, there is the number, there is where I want to get. Those are my standards. Push, buddy, push. Push, my friend, push. Don't nibble, don't try, don't be nice, don't be push. Push and pull. When the pull is clear, push. When the push is clear, you know your pain, you know your drive, you know your need, you know what's pushing you forward, you know the chip on the shoulder, you know you've got all of that. Great. I know you're on fire now. I know your stomach now is going on fire and your belly now is exploding. Well, when the push is clear, design the pull. Because if you don't decide for yourself what is the vision, where you want to get, all this energy is going to be dispersed and you're just going to be wasted and it's going to attack yourself. So when the push is clear, wow, boom, what's the pull? And connect these two and push, body, push, grow at Astra. You've got to know the push and the pull. So here are the 3 questions. Do I push or do I pull? This is great. This is greater. Do I know my pushing vectors? Do you know your push? You know the pushers? What's pushing you? What's driving you? Because if not, then you're not learning. If the push is not clear, the pull is not clear, what are you learning? Are you just learning because stuff, interesting, funny stuff? You've got to learn according to your intentions, according to your vision. So man up, invest some time. I'm here to help. Know your push, know your pull, the 4 pushers and the 4 pulls, so that the intentions can serve and the learning can take place. Then number 3, do I know my pulling vectors? So you've got to ask yourself, am I pushing now or am I pulling? Wherever you are now in your business, ask yourself, am I pushing or am I pulling? You've got to know your pushers, you've got to know your pullers. What's between them are the intentions. Your intentions dictates your growth, your actions. What is going to happen is exactly proportional to your intentions. And the intentions are the vectors which connect your push energy in with the pull. Was the vision, was the values, was the impact, and was the drive at the lowest of the push, was the drive, was the need, was the pain. You gotta connect the desire and the reward. Question number 4, how to grow faster from learning? Because learning is good through doing, but you gotta grow. You gotta unlock those lockers which are mostly not in our responsibility. That's on God. What's on you is to learn from what's given and to be grateful for everything. To be grateful for everything. Hardly you can achieve greater things if you are not grateful for what you've got. That's it's one of the most ignored aspects in growth, and the most the strongest one is to learn to be grateful with what you've got. Grateful. You've got enough. How much do you need? Everything else is bonus. The question number 4, how to grow faster from learning? Well, here is what you want to focus on. There are victories and there are failures. We've got some success, we have some victories, and we've got some failures, right? So can we learn from success? Yeah, some stuff. Can we learn from failures? Yes, we do. So we just learn different things from these 2 different dynamics. Well, let me share with you this perspective which I observe to be true, at least for me. Leave a comment in the section below if you find it true also for you. If you only focus to learn from your mistakes, if you're only focused to learn from your mistakes, you make better quality mistakes. If you only focus learning from your success, you'll make bigger mistakes. Let me explain how I find it true to be, and it works. If you only focus on the mistakes, I've done wrong here. This I'm not good. That's I'm not good. Oh my gosh. Like, why? How? And you're really extremely focused to learn, and you don't track your victories. You only see that you only have the worst perspective. You'll make better quality mistakes. You say, oh, I can make this time, I can make it a little bit better, which is good, but it depends on the context. So if your context is very close, worse mistake, better mistake, you will do better mistakes because you always make mistakes. And if you focus on the mistakes, you're going to make better mistakes. If you only focus on the successes and say, oh my God, I've done great here. I'm so good here. Oh, what a win. Good. Well, up, and the fall goes ahead of the pride, right? So after you start going up, you're going to have a very huge, bad, dramatical, or maybe even fatal mistake. That's why you've got to develop this growth mindset from the learning process. But how? By growing it from both the victories and from the failures. This growing feels like repairing and improving, or also building and aspiring. So if I ask you now, how does it feel growth to you? Like, explain to me, like, in simple words, what is growth? Most of the people say just to learn from your mistakes, which is good, but we're not here just to measure the quality of our mistakes. We're here to fulfill our purpose. So the more you try to fulfill your purpose and you put work into it, the more mistakes you're going to make. So it's just growth, learning from the mistakes. You've got to extract from that mistake, but that's not the number one thing. Ask yourself, what can I do? Not just how can I avoid doing what I've done? So here's what we have: learning from failures and learning from the victories. Learn from both. So the 3 questions before we go into the 5th one. Do you track your victories? Do you have a track of your victories? Oh, there is a win. Okay, I've accomplished a great thing last week. Oh, last month, boom, too many failures there. Okay, good. Let's find a strategy now. So in the next month, we need some wins. We don't have a win. We got to have a win. So you need to focus on both, not just on one side. This is question number 2. Do you track your failures? So make sure while you're growing now, you might be afraid of growth. And many people are very afraid of growth because after one goes through the pain of building and starting a business, you are destroyed, but you're so built up. But the memory of the pain is still being there. So when comes the growth stage, many entrepreneurs are very afraid because what if? Well, that's true. These tools will help you a lot. Track your failures, track your victories, track them so that you can track your growth. So that learning, that formula which you will build for yourself will help you to move forward and overcome that fear of taking risks or setting intentions to grow. All right, good. This is for the number 4 question: how to grow faster from learning. The number 5 is how to unlearn behaviors that prevent growth. Because none of your actions are similar actions. And when we do stuff, it's very connected to every other stuff. And the relationship between what you do is called a behavioral pattern. And we all do have patterns. We work on patterns. We don't think every second about, every little action. There's a pattern to it. I've done this, I do this, and I do that. That routine is a pattern, is building a pattern, is the intertwined relationship of the interconnected actions. That what builds the pattern is connected to your emotions as well, which we'll learn in the second part of this question, how to unlearn and how the pattern is formed, and also how to unlearn it. So when you do stuff, you build patterns, and you have to become aware of what patterns have I built, because maybe you go through similar situations, and every single time when something triggers a similar memory from the past, you start to react in such a way as when you reacted that time. And without knowingly, because of your subconscious, you unconsciously repeat the same thing, even if it feels different. Now, quickly we'll go into how a pattern is built, but understand this. You have your repeating patterns which do work, and you have to know them, and which are building the new patterns. What are the things which you combine and do together Do you know your patterns? Do you know why do you proceed in a way or another when something similar happens? Because, for example, if you're trying to change something in your business and it's a new pattern, and you start to optimize something before you test it, then you find yourself increasing the efficiency of something which is not effective, which doesn't do its job. So you've got to spot those moments when, for example, something attractive, something shining, and you say like, wow, that sounds amazing. And because of your emotion of feeling enthusiastic about, you start implementing it. So that's a pattern. When something which might trigger in you that you're going to be left behind, you say, oh my God, I got to put it immediately in my business or within myself. And boom, you're repeating the same pattern. And you say, I've changed lots of things in my business lately or in my life, but things don't change. Well, because you're repeating the same pattern. So you have to know your winning patterns and repeat them, and also to have to work on building new ones. When these two are unbalanced, or only when you have building new patterns, new, let me do this, let me do that, let me try, but you're not testing things to the end, then you're going to constantly running and trying, and then you say like, it doesn't work. Well, it will work, but you got to choose one of these two. And you got to know your winning patterns. When a win comes, how do I proceed? What do I do? How do I invest? Do I invest too much when there's a win? When I sign a contract, I always do this. Well, you've got some behavioral patterns. Know them and have a balance between them. The questions I want to leave you with are, do I choose volume over effectiveness? You want to do more without making sure if that's effective? Do I want to prove that it works or aim for results? Ask yourself, do I want to prove myself that it works, or am I aiming at the result? Learn. And the third question is, whose voice in my head tells me I'm losing when I'm simply strategizing or thinking? So here's about a lot. It's a deeper one. You got to learn yourself. How do I learn myself? Well, the patterns, your behavioral patterns is the first entry in learning yourself, so that you can spot the drive and the need which is driving all this process. Very quick, how quickly a pattern is formed. Now the slide on the screen. Let's go. Event. Then there is an experienced emotion when something happened. You recorded that emotion. You form the belief. And when it happens, that's how it makes me feel. Then you form the belief based on that belief. And then the number four, you form the belief, and then you start to think according to that belief. And then your behavior is conditioned about that kind of thinking, and that thinking is conditioned about your belief because of an emotion recorded when something happened. And in result, what do you have? We have the classic result. So if you want to remember well how to spot your patterns, you've got to know how your patterns are directing your life every single minute. So how is a pattern formed? Event, experience, the emotion that you experienced, the remembered emotion, the belief formation, then the thinking, which is conditioned on the belief, then the behavior based on the thinking, which is conditioned by the belief, therefore the results. Classic, same results. Well, here's the pattern. So use it and keep growing. Voila, the behavioral pattern is formed. So you can go through asking the following questions, which are now on the screen, to how to work on your patterns and develop your way of learning yourself again, so that you can achieve and become who you're meant to be and achieve what seemed and dreamed before. That's why a fast learner with average doing will beat a great doer with a slow learning process. Because if you learn and do, you learn and do, you learn and do, you'll be just that one with just this, and masters the skills without the context, without knowing what are the intentions, what are my values, what am I doing and what am I achieving, what's the final. So the 5 questions which we have answered today are: what is the value that dictates the learning? What is a learning mindset? How does a learning mindset beats the strategy, the systems and the process in your business? Because they have to be submitted to your intentions. Number 4, how you can accelerate growth through learning, and how can you unlearn behaviors that hinder growth? Well, that's it for today. I know this one was it's a huge one, but hey, learn fast, grow faster, become in no time was the mantra of today's video. Leave a question in the comment section below. The value you got from this video, that will support me a lot, and that will help this mission to continue and to serve as many people as possible, for which I thank you for your attention. Keep growing, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.